Welcome back to The Count, where we're counting down the major stories of the week. I'm Eric Bowling. Story number 2, Biden's border crisis. The Biden administration likes to say the record border crossings are part of a seasonal trend, but the official numbers tell a completely different story. Here's a look at the number of border encounters from March of last year, 34,460. This year, that number went to 172,000 in March. That's an increase of 400%. And April of last year, the number of encounters was a mere 17,106. Get this year it went to 178,622. I'm doing the math in my head here. That's more than 1,000% increase. Here now, Chad Wolf is former acting U.S. Secretary of Homeland Security and a Heritage Foundation visiting fellow. Thanks for joining us, Chad. So, I'm looking at those videos and the pictures of all these migrants coming to America, coming across the border, and they're wearing Biden T-shirts. We have to point the finger at the Biden administration for this massive wave of new people coming across our border. Yes?
Oh, absolutely. And I think it's time for DHS leadership and White House leadership to be honest with the American people. Stop trying to dismiss this as it's a seasonal issue or that it's something that the Trump administration caused, when in fact we know what caused the surge that we're seeing on the crisis back in March and certainly with the April numbers. And it's because of these policies that the Biden administration first tore down and the new ones that they are pursuing, which is providing an incentive and a magnet of sorts to have these individuals come to the border, know that they will get released into the interior. And that's what they want at the end of the day. And as long as you provide that and you send the signal that you're going to provide that, they're going to continue to come.
You know, I saw a picture of some border agents. They're so frustrated. They're frustrated that they can't do their jobs. They're actually calling themselves the U.S. Welcoming Committee.
Yeah, it's completely unfortunate. I mean, what the men and women of the Border Patrol want to do, what they've been trained to do, is to enforce the laws on that border. And the Biden administration is handcuffing them and not allowing them to do their job. Throughout the 4 years of the Trump administration, we allowed them to do their job. We allowed them to enforce every law that was on the book. And it made a real difference. 2019, 2020, we saw some of the lowest border apprehension numbers that we have seen in decades. And now we are seeing the complete opposite because the Biden administration, instead of being on the side of the rule of law, they are siding with these illegal migrants who are coming here for economic reasons and for family reunification. The vast majority of do not qualify for asylum under our laws. The Biden administration knows this, yet they still encourage them to come. You know,
I spent a lot of time at the border last summer, and I will tell you that there are areas where you know there are going to be illegals coming across the border, and they're caught, and they're having encounters or apprehensions, whatever you want to call them. But there's vast hundreds, if not thousands, of miles of area where they can come across without ever being, quote unquote, encountered. If the number's 178,000 encounters for last month, what do you think the real number of human beings crossing the border is on any given month?
Yeah, so it's probably, if we're looking at April, 178,000 illegal apprehensions, you're probably looking at over 200,000 folks crossing that border. There's a number of what we call gotaways, folks that never encounter Border Patrol agents because the border, as you indicate, is fairly vast and they don't have enough resources. That's why we were pushing for the construction of the border wall system that will allow our agents to move into high traffic areas while allowing that border wall system the impedance and denial that the Border Patrol needs. Of course, the Biden administration has stopped complete construction on that wall. So now we have large gaps of that border wall system that are not completed. So instead of having a border wall system, we now have Border Patrol agents parking their vehicles in gaps that should have been completed a long time ago. So it's very unfortunate. A lot of the situation that's going on at the border is self-inflicted, that the Biden administration is purposely doing down there, and it's very, very concerning.
Chad, tell me, is there a change in policy between what went on under the Trump administration and Biden as far as once you catch someone? There's catch and release under Obama. Trump said, no, we're going to send you back. Are we back to catch and release now?
100%. So We tore down that catch and release policy during the Trump administration and really decided to put a consequence to the illegal behavior. Look, you got to realize if people want to come in, they want to claim asylum, you can do that at a port of entry, and you can do that lawfully and legally. But when you cross that border illegally, there needs to be a consequence to that illegal behavior. And that's what we did during the Trump administration. And so we stopped catch and release. And what the Biden administration has done in the first several weeks of the administration has reinstituted that catch and release. So family units, for the vast majority of those family units coming in, they were released into the interior of the country. All minors are being released into the interior of the country.
That scares the heck out of me, because right there, I mean, we're talking about people who may be bringing, forget the disease. I mean, look, we're in the midst of a pandemic, disease, but we're also human trafficking and drugs. All this is going right to our neighborhoods. Am I right?
Well, you are. And you need to remember, and the viewers need to remember, that the vast majority, about 75% of those that are classified as minors, are actually 16 or 17 years of age. So these are young adults who will be turning 18 in a matter of months or even under a year as they come into our custody. So these are not your tender age children who are 6, 7, and 8. While we still have those, that's not the majority that are showing up. And these are the folks that are coming into the country. They can be affiliated with gangs. And again, they're being released into the interior of the country today.
All right. Take a listen to Mitt Romney. Even Mitt Romney, who's no friend of the Trump administration or any, seemed to be no friend of any real conservative. Take a listen to what he had to say about this.
Do you recognize this as an alarming crisis?
Senator, I look at immigration as a challenge that has been persistent for many years.
Of course, but what I find astonishing, Mr. Chairman, is that we have the secretary responsible for securing our border and our immigration system who doesn't recognize these charts as being a problem. And there are human beings behind these numbers.
And that was Mitt Romney talking directly to Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas, who's in charge with securing the border. Do you want to grade Mayorkas for us?
Well, let me first say that Senator Romney on this case is exactly right. The inability of DHS leadership in the White House to take ownership of this crisis is really startling. And I think we need to be honest with the American people. First, they refused to call it a crisis, and now they're not taking ownership of what caused the crisis. And so I have real concerns about the policies that DHS is pursuing. They're the wrong policies. The secretary has lost the confidence of the men and women of the Border Patrol. Every time he goes out and says that the border is closed, the border is secure, when you have 178,000 illegal apprehensions in 1 month, that just defies logic. And so the secretary is not being honest with the American people, and that needs to occur. That needs to change quite immediately.
Not being honest, we'll have to give him an F. I think we'll do that right here. And by the way, VP Harris has been to the border. That's good news. Oh, no, not the southern border. Kamala Harris went to the northern border. She hasn't been to the southern border yet. Chad Wolf, thank you very much.
Thank you.